So in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to create any kind of a chord on a keyboard or piano. So here we go. There's a few steps you need, and I'm just going to write these down. First is going to be locate the root. Locate the root note. So every chord is built off of one note, and that is called the root. Just like, plants and trees are built from the root up. Same thing happens with chords. So you have to first locate the root. Number two is you're going to have to create from that root the major scale. Major scale. And the third thing you're going to need to do is to number the intervals in the major scale, which we use. I mean, it's what the number system is, and that's kind of how all of our training is based on the number system, which is basically the major scale intervals. So number the scale. And then once you number the scale, it's as simple as finding out what type of chord it is that you're creating and finding which notes in that scale is to be added to the root. That's it. So 4 is going to be add notes. You have to, now this kind of is where you have to have knowledge, but which notes you're going to add. Add notes to the root note. So I'll give you some examples here. Let's say we're going to play here we go. Let's say we're going to play a G, just a G. We'll just start with that. Well, the root is a G. So G is here, right here. Here's one G. So that's the root. And when you number the scale, the root is always number 1. So I'm going to create my major scale, and then I'm going to number it at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is this note, and back to 1. Okay? Now, if you don't know how to create a major scale, you're going to go want to watch other videos that I have on creating major scales. But once you have it, you just number it. And then the next is add notes to the root note. Now, this type of scale is a major chord. And a major chord, you need to know, includes the notes 1, 3, and 5. So 1 you already have. You got this note here. All you need to do is add 3 and 5. So here's 3. Here's 5. Those 3 notes played together is going to be a G major chord. It's that simple. Let me show you some more here. Go and erase this. Let's say we're going to play, let's see, an F minor 7 chord. Now this is going to start sounding a little more confusing, but as long as you follow this, it's going to be easy. So first you have to locate the root, which in this example is an F. And if you're not understanding how to read these chord symbols, go watch the video I have in understanding how to read what a chord symbol, is made up of. So F is right here. Here's an F. Gonna go number it. Well, I'm gonna first make the major scale, remember? So 1 is always the root, and it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Now, if you're wondering how I'm creating this, there's a formula that I'm using. It's the formula, or what I call the phone number of the major scale. It's root, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And I have other lessons on that, but you can learn that very easily. So I created my scale. Then I need to add the notes to the root note. Now, this tells me this is a minor 7 type of chord. And you just need to know what minor 7th chords consist of, which notes. And this you could find, anywhere on Wikipedia. Just type in the type of notes and it'll tell you which notes to use. But, I've just have memorized what this is, and this is something you can work on. But it includes 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7. So now with this, I can go and play 1, flat 3. Now here's a 3. If you were to flat that 3, flat 3 would be here, flat 3. So I'd play this note, 5, and a flat 7. Here's a 7, flat the 7, flat at 1, which is right here, flat 7. Play these 4 notes together, and you're going to be playing an F minor 7. Now, here's another thing for you to know. You can play these notes anywhere on the keyboard, and technically you're playing an F minor 7. That means you have the note F. This is would be a G sharp. This would be a C. This would be a D sharp. And as long as you play those 4 notes, technically an F minor 7. But what you want to try to do is always play the root as the lowest notes. If you don't, it's going to sound a little weird and it can get kind of confusing. So what happens is if you don't play that one, you're going to play an inversion of that chord and you're going to voice it, differently, and it's could sound a little weird, off. But as long as you have the root as the lowest note, it's going to sound like an F minor 7. All right, let me give you one more example here, just to give you the basic principles of how to form chords, and then you can go and start creating your own. So let's put a kind of a complex one here. What if we were to go and play B flat, let's go 7, flat 9 chord. Now, as complex as that sounds, you can decode it using these 4 steps. So the first thing you need to know is what? Locate the root. Well, the root here is a B flat. So I'm going to go and number my B flat 1. I'm going to go make the major scale and number it. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's going to be 1. Now, whenever you see chords that include a number that's higher than 7, like 9, you might see an 11 or a 13. Well, what that means is it's using 2 octaves of the major scale. Because let me show you what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here, if you're only doing 1 octave, that would be 1. But if you're making 2 octaves, 1 can become an 8. Because if you keep counting, it'll go, instead of 1, it'll go to 8. Then the next note, and I'm going to have to continue it down here, is a 9 or a 2. So this C would be 2 or a 9. And then the next note here would be a 3 or a 10. And This one would be a 4 or an 11. You see, you're basically just doing 1 through 7 again, but you're just continuing on adding 1 at a time. So 4, this would be 5, or it could be a 12. This would be 6 or a 13. And this note would be a 7 or a 14, even though you'll never see a 14. But with this is how you would do it. So let's locate the root, which is 1. You would play this 1 note, B flat. You would have to know that a 7 flat 9 type of chord, 7 flat 9 type of chord includes the following notes: 1, 3, 5, flat 7, and a flat 9, which is also, you remember 9 and 2s are basically the same note, even though this is an octave higher. So that would be a flatted 9. So here we go. Let's create this. Here's my root. Here's my third. Here's my 5. Here's my flat 7. There's my 7. Flatted 1 note, which right here is flat 7. I would play that. And then I would go find my 9 or 2 and flat that 1 note. So it's kind of hard to see here, but it continues to this B here. Right here, this is a flat 9. So these 5 notes played together is a B flat 7 flat 9 chord. So there you have it, how to construct any type of chord on the keyboard. Now what you're going to need to do is to go either learn or go find a list, which you can find all over the internet, what the types of chords are and which notes are included in those types of chords, and you'll be able to create any chord on the keyboard.